is that book? Book. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I was I don't know. Good morning. Okay, so I am excited to be here. I'm going to say at the top of this and at the bottom of this, I need to make a note to myself that I will be telling you guys that tomorrow will be a brief session and I'll be on a little earlier because I am going downtown to do an all day. It's like an all day workshop, and so I need to be down there a little early, which means that which means that I got to be off of here early. So, and because it's downtown, I don't want to pay for parking, which means that I will take public transportation down. I don't even want to take an Uber for whatever reason. I don't. And let's see, today is the 12th. I don't always make notes of stuff that I'm talking about, but today I wanted to make sure that I did. So tomorrow I will be on and off early. So my plan is to get on here. Good morning, Mike. Oh, you're early today. My plan is to get on here by 7:30 so that I can walk out the door at 8. So it'll be abbreviated. It'll be half calf. And I do this as much for me as I do it because other people enjoy it. But it is really, my own blessing to myself too. So I'll be on and off early. And I will tell you guys this at the end of the hour too, so that y'all are not hitting a hiccup when you come on here at 8:00 and I'm not here, because I'll be getting off then, so that I can hightail it to my to a bus stop near me and catch the bus downtown, so I don't have to pay any ridiculous prices for parking and all that good stuff. So now, having said that, for some of you, this is this is me. Y'all know me, and I make no apologies for me. Because one of the things that because for a number of reasons, but I just don't. I always think that things are as they should be. And if I stand in the moment of now and trust, then what is supposed to be heard and the ways in which you respond to it are what's supposed to happen. So yesterday, y'all know my life is fodder for discussion. I talked to one of my neighbors for a bit. Now, this has happened in several times over the last week. And so I thought I should come in and ask the question. I'm going to preface this to ask the question, what does it mean to be a sister? Right? What does it mean to be a sister? So I have had women friends that tell me about either male friends or other women friends. And yesterday in particular, a neighbor was talking to me, And he started talking about another woman in a way that I thought was demeaning. I've had this happen, and it's really interesting because as it happens, just like anybody else, there is a good morning, Denise. There is a ongoing dialogue that happens in my thoughts, even as I hear what somebody else is saying. I don't have to ask the question, what would Jesus do? And I don't necessarily anymore. I used to ask the question, God, what would you have me say here? But it seems as though now my responses are, good morning, Everett from Atlanta. How are you? It seems as though my responses are more immediate. So yesterday, as he begins to talk about another neighbor, he started talking about bra straps and how unsightly and unkept women whose bra straps show are. And I do believe that this is residual from the woman who wrote the book. I want to say her name is Shahrazad Ali, but it was very controversial back in the day when she wrote this book that seemed as though it was very cutting towards Black women. We've also seen people, as a matter of fact, I've got a friend of mine who wrote a book that was very cutting towards Black women. And as he stood there and was talking to me about bra straps, I'm standing there. And I remember an older woman tell me that I shouldn't, first off, her conversation is don't suffer fools. But then the other part of it is that people who can't relate really can't talk about a particular subject. And so I said to him in the midst of his conversation, like, hold up, let me stop you right there. I was like, I have shoulders, and I don't know if you've ever seen me, but I have shoulders that slope. I also got breastises. And what I know, it doesn't matter whether I'm spending $65 for a bra or $19.99 for a bra, and they don't make bras in my size any cheaper than that. As a matter of fact, it's rare that you can find one that's even that. But those things tend to fall. It doesn't mean that my bra is dirty, nor does it mean that I'm unkept and don't care. They tend to fall. So let's have a conversation, if you want to, about bra straps. and if you don't wear one, which is what I had to tell a sister who wanted to tell me about where my boobs should sit. All of us are built different. All of us have different weight, different density, different sizes. And this thing of body shaming women, especially our own sisters, needs to stop. And I think that it is all of our responsibilities. A guy said to me just the other day, we were having a silly conversation where we started talking about beverages, drinking stuff. And I said to him, I don't like carbonation. I was like, I grew up as a Kool-Aid girl. I don't like carbonation. And he says, okay, so you're anti-carbonation or you're anti-fizz. And I was like, no, I'm not anti-fizz. I just don't drink it. And he was like, well, then you're anti. I said, no. And he was like, I don't understand. What's your problem with me saying that you're anti-carbonation? And I said, well, it's kind of like the book that Ibrahim Handi, I think his name is, wrote, How to Be an Anti-Racist. And he says, it's one thing to tell people that I'm not racist. And he says, it's another thing to be an anti-racist. An anti-racist speaks out against it whenever they hear it. They are vocal about it. It's not as if they just say, oh, I'm not that. He says anybody could say, oh, I'm not that. I got friends that are Black. He says anybody could say that. He says this takes it to another level to say I am anti-racist, which means that I am going to work against it wherever I see it. So I told him, I said, so I'm not anti-carbonation. I just don't like carbonation for me. What I am anti is I am anti-sister hating. I am anti, this thing of body shaming and putting one another down. If we are talking about spirituality, if we are talking about, how to love, what it means, what unity looks like, we have to be anti whatever it is that is presenting itself that wants to demean or put down or shame somebody else. Good morning, Sandra, and great morning, Winnie. And she says, great morning to all of you as well. So, when I heard my girlfriend say that, women talk about they want to be authentic, and then they sit there and they put on, fake hair, fake eyelashes, fake this, fake that. Just because she chooses not to does not mean that you get a pass for talking about sisters who do. And if there wasn't some payoff that she was receiving for how she shows up, then she wouldn't show up in that manner. But as it stands in our society, there is still a payoff for showing up in particular ways. If you don't like it, that's fine. But then to sit, and even as women, to sit back and start tearing down our sisters is, it says more about you than it does about them. So how can we recognize what is and then understand where all of that stuff comes from? You guys, we have been miseducated. We have been miseducated. And it is sometimes unfortunate that the big push for conformity doesn't come so much outside of our community, because people kind of creep around the edges not knowing what's appropriate. Can I actually say something about her hair? Can I touch her hair? People will tiptoe around the edges that are outside of the community. It's those that are inside of the community that want to call people nappy-headed or want to talk about one another, put each other down. It's within our community. And so if we, whether it's because we're Black or because we're women, if we are about this thing called love, of trying to, then what we do is to try to look beyond what is apparent, what appears on the surface, to what it is in back of it. What else, what is this speaking to? And so if we, y'all, this goes all the way back. Yesterday, I talked about the friction that is between brothers and between people and between communities, and prejudices that exist that seems to be part of the human condition, part of human nature. To really look at that on its face and ask, am I my brother's keeper? What does that mean? And so I I would say when I'm talking about this consciousness and awareness, even that, I just think we ought to pay attention to that. Everett says, Everett from Atlanta, and this is good because I haven't even read it yet, but colonization, yes, tradition have us so messed up. Yes, yes, yes. Glad you're strong-minded woman who knows how to be confident in her skin. Young women need to hear your thoughts and depart from all these bad societal influences. You know, and the one of the things that happens though is that our younger women emulate what they see the older women doing. And so if it becomes this thing where all they hear is, it's interesting too. Parents teach their children, you shouldn't lie. You don't, don't, are you lying? Don't tell me any lies, right? But then what they do is our kids, they walk around the house and they hear us lying all the time. And then they expect that their children are going to do something different. And don't deceive yourself. A lie is a lie. If you lie to a bill collector, or if you lie and somebody asks you what I'm doing, oh, I am, just sitting back, and they're looking at you, tell these lies. They hear that. And so what is a lie? So what we have to do is demonstrate what it is that we want to experience. What is when people are talking about, brothers, I have to be the one. That was just like I was saying yesterday when I worked at the Rape Crisis Center. I think I said that yesterday. When I worked at the Rape Crisis Center, and they're sitting there having a male bashing, expose. And I'm sitting there saying, I know good men. I know men that are not. So I'm like the story in the Bible. If I know one, if I know two or three, then that means that it is not true about all men. And that means that we have to stop giving it this thing of they called it modus ponens, I think, in logic, where we take a few, you take a few examples and then make it true of the whole, a hasty generalization, right? That's what they call it. So if you see two or three that are like that, then that gives you the right to then say then all of them are like that. And that is a fallacy on its face. Or that you take that, like say for instance, white men can't jump. That's one of the things that they would say. If it was true for a few, then all of a sudden they make it seem like it's true for the whole lot of them. And it's not so, right? Not all white folks are racist. Not all, not all Black men are well endowed, not all. And so when you start thinking about, people take what's true and they find a couple that is true for, and then they try to make it true for the whole entire race. That is a reduction or something like that, I think it is. So we've got to stop making these jumps and these leaps and just recognize that it is on a case by case basis, because we are this thing called individuals. And individuals have different things. My bra straps sometimes fall off of my shoulders because my shoulders slope. I happen to like my shoulders. I don't like boxy shoulders because I don't have boxy shoulders. I got nothing against boxy shoulders, but some people have it like that and some of us don't. But that is not a reason to sit there and try to make it seem like there is something wrong with. And if we don't speak to these things, if we never really like challenge anything, then what it does is that it sometimes it rolls on to the next person, or the attitude gets carried on. Sometimes they pass it on as if, how you don't tell me about a woman's bra strap. You ain't no woman. I, I was just like, whoa, dude, you know, time out. Because if nobody ever says anything, then we get to carry around the same stuff over and over again. So the question becomes, and sometimes people will say, that's not that important. Well, I guess I don't even know how I feel about this, but I was I used to go work out every morning at the neighborhood thing. Good morning, Kim. The birthday is coming. Happy birthday already. So I used to go to this thing place and work out every day. And it was so interesting because one day I'm there and these sisters are in there and they work out. And I mean, they work out hard. They working out hard. And as they were younger, much younger girls. Here I was probably 50. And, I still believe I'm hot, right? I may not be hot like that, but I ain't nothing to just kind of whatever. So as I'm listening to this conversation, the girl is in there, and what she's telling these other women is that she's getting her exercise in and she hit her leg and she says, I don't want to see any jiggle. And I was like, you don't want to see any jiggle? I finally stopped. I was writing something. I stopped. And I was like, really? I was like, girl, I said, jiggle ain't nothing wrong with jiggle. And she says something to me like, I don't know if she used Beyonce as the example, but your brother told me I had to. I don't know who she used for the example, but she started talking about, about getting it tight and making it tight. And I was like, girl, you need to go to a strip club. I said, because people only throw money at the women that can make it clap. I was like, and if you that tight, you ain't about to clap. I was just like, oh my goodness. That may have been her paradigm, but yes, jiggle is good. I mean, I ain't trying to say that you got to be, I don't know, but I have never heard somebody say, I want a hard, like I desire something that's hard as opposed to something that's got some movement to it. So sometimes it is that, if we're never presented with an alternative way of looking at things, if sometimes because what we do is in our minds, it becomes an echo chamber, and we're only hearing these thoughts that we're passionate about. And because we're passionate about it, sometimes people don't even ever challenge it. If you don't have anybody in your circle that gives you an opposing view, if you never ask the question, if you always got to be right, then you can't hear anything else. And so it becomes this thing of sometimes we have just got to show up. And sisterhood is not trying to show up and make you feel bad about what it is that you thought, but rather just presenting the possibility that maybe you might want to reconsider, right? You might want to consider that straps, because they're straps, they fall. You might want to consider that not And sometimes those things can't be prevented. Sometimes they can, but to that person's discomfort or whatever. When he started telling me about he wouldn't go out with a woman that had her bra strap showing, the same thing can be said about a number of things, it just depends. You take your pick about the mountain that you want to stand up on. But a bra strap was just one of those things. Like, I was like, whoa. I mean, everybody can't, you know, but sometimes we just got to consider what it is that we're putting out there, and how we have a tendency to shame, right? I, I, I don't know. I guess, and I've had people come up to me when I first started letting my hair take its natural course. I had people coming up to me telling me about my roots were showing, and I was like, "Good, oh my gosh, so good." Or when I was getting the power surges, and people would, try to, shame me about going through menopause. Like, really? Like, don't you know that this is a power surge coming on? And me coming into my full power? Are you really trying to shame me? I mean, the stuff that we do to one another, y'all, we gotta time out on that. Time out. And it doesn't matter what it is, right? That individual means that all of us come with this our own set of stuff, and sometimes we find that when we're with and around the right people, ooh, that stuff is so good, right? Oh my gosh. Visual interpretations vary is my frequent talk I have with my daughter. Yes. And you can go so many different places with that. But the question, I guess, that comes back to me is, is it true? Or why does that bother you? Like, what is that about? I I I don't know. I guess I just Sandra, I thought you were always beautiful. Oh, thank you. But and it's interesting though, because it's all in how we ourselves feel, right? Sometimes we don't feel so beautiful. And that just some and that too can depend on who we're surrounding ourselves with, right? Um, because a lot of times people get their interpretation of beauty through something else. And so somebody might look and think, "Ooh, this person is gorgeous," but then on the other hand, like, what did this guy that I dated, I was so in love with him. He gonna tell me, he was like, "I prefer women in a size 12." And I was like, "Well, dude, I'm in a size 14. And your body tells me that you prefer me right now." I'm just saying. I, so if you want to go and test drive that and see what it's like, go ahead. I may be standing here when you get back. But it's just crazy, right? Morning at work, but wanted to say good morning, Michael. Good morning. I hope you and your family and all of that is good. Yeah, self-talk is amazing, Winnie. And sometimes what we do forget is how to love on ourselves, right? And all the parts, like, if it's, whatever it is, let's be about the business of talking to it and adoring it and sending it energy and all of that stuff. So yeah, there have been times where I have been down on myself. There have been plenty of times, or even walk out of the house thinking that there's something wrong with, because I don't have this, or I ain't been shopping in since the pandemic or something, right? You have those feelings about what you're putting on your body. And then, and it really doesn't matter, because I don't know, if somebody is just paying attention to your clothes and not seeing you, is, that whatever, that becomes a thing with that's what they're stuck on. It doesn't have to be where I'm stuck. It doesn't have to be this walking around with these feelings of, oh, somebody's looking at a gap in my tooth, or oh, somebody's looking at my teeth aren't straight. No, I mean, come on. And that's one of the beautiful things about all of this, that, Hollywood makes it seem like we've got to be perfect, like we got to have a, I see people, I don't know what, they got a new fluorescent teeth or something like that. But I see people who get I don't know if they're veneers or whatever, but it's like, it literally like the commercials used to be when they smile. It's like it catches the light and there's this fluorescent glow that goes ping. I don't know, but just smile, right? Just smile and be you. Yeah, if you want to make some updates and some improvements, but don't walk around feeling less than. Don't walk around being caught up in what's not there. Just be you. And then learn how to be an anti-hater. Anti-haterism. That's what we need to do. Be anti-hater. So when somebody starts to get caught up in all of these other things, let's speak out against that, just like we would if it was racism or sexism or disableism or any number of isms, right? And I need y'all to give me some help when people do a short joke on me, right? Vertically challenged. I'm not. 5'2" is an average height for a woman. And so, but everybody's got their little things that they want to, anti-haterism. Oh, that would be an amazing thing. All right. So I am not going to spend the whole time talking about that, but I do just want to, I did want to just throw that out there. Do the best you can with what you got until your good is your best and your best is your better. Is that how it goes? I mean, but just being you is good enough. And so I'm in a no hater zone, no shaming zone. I don't care. And what I know is that just like everybody else, I've gone through periods in my life where I've done things that today I probably wouldn't do. Today wouldn't be so proud of today. But that is not to say that that wasn't something that was necessary for my own growth and my own development. So when the next time you see somebody walking down the street and you thinking like, "Ooh, girl, what you doing?" Right? Think about maybe the time, I don't know, maybe you're perfect, but maybe the time when somebody might have said that same thing to you, like, "Oh, girl, what's that?" I mean, don't even do it like that. I mean, the thing about it is to understand that each one of those phases has a purpose. And so if it is, the purpose is to not only fall in love with their bodies, but to show that, you know what, I am naked and unashamed. And ain't nothing wrong with that. Who told you you were naked, right? I'm naked and unashamed. Yeah, I must confess, I got this girlfriend, her and I used to talk about going to a nudist camp all the time. We were always on that thing. And the people who go to nudist things don't go because they have beautiful bodies. They go because they like nudity, right? And it's a beautiful thing where when you're naked and unashamed, which is what I do in here all the time. I get naked with y'all, with ideas and thoughts that I share, with things that have happened in my life. To me, it's like an unveiling. Let me pull back these layers and show you what I'm working with. It's like that time, what's the fish called Wanda's name? Woman that starred in that, Jamie, dang, I can't even think of her name. It's Freedom. I have, yo, you've been to one. Go ahead, girl. Go ahead, girl. Call me next time you get ready to go to one, if you ever go. I've been to a beach before, topless, nude beach and stuff like that, but not a nudist colony. It wasn't when I was in Europe. So, there's probably pictures because I can recall some folks taking some pictures, but it was in the south of France, and I'm sure that they are never to be seen again. But the woman who played in A Fish Called Wanda, she just like my girl, This Girl Is on Fire. This girl is on fire. What is her name? They went through this phase where they wanted to, say, don't airbrush me. I'm not putting on makeup. I want to show you the real me. I want you to see this because there is so much self-hatred out there in the world. And so the aim was to unveil, to say, hey, there's a lot of stuff when we go out and get photographed, or when people see us, there's a lot of stuff that they do to these pictures to make them perfect. Stop idealizing an image that's not even a true image. And so for the longest, I want to call that girl's name because I love her, but it's just like I'm drawing a blank. I'm in New York. What is her name? What is her name? Let me look in my phone. Alicia Keys, that's her name. Alicia Keys went through, and she did, for a long period of time, she wouldn't wear makeup. I mean, she's beautiful anyway, right? Beautiful anyway. But she was pushing back against the system, against all of that stuff. And so when we recognize that, we can come plain and still be beautiful, when we start to get that down in our system, it takes the pressure off of other people. So, and then when she decided that she was going to wear makeup again, and some reporter asked about it, she cursed them the heck out and said, I do what the F I want to do, when I want to do it. This is my face, my body. And when I want to be, when I want to stand and represent for something, I can. And when I choose not to, I can. And so with that fierceness, I think that all of us have to be about the business of protecting our own sovereignty. I'll put it that way, of protecting our own sovereignty, and then bearing witness for that in someone else. So not on my watch, not having it, don't want to hear it, right? And let me then go so far as to, and another thing. All right. So here now with my last quarter of the hour, let me get back into this, because yesterday I finally got off of a page that I had been on for over a week, maybe 2 weeks. I had been on that one page in this book called It Didn't Start With You, by Mark Wolynn. And in sitting on that page for the longest, I've done several talks and some reviews and all of that stuff. But there is a part of me that really wants to close out this particular thing. I am also in the process of putting together a class that, for many of you guys, if you want to do a class online, great, you can sign up for it. If you don't, I get it. But I just think that the dialogue can be so rich, and I love to have that. So it's going to be an evening class though. And I'll tell you a bit more about it next week. So I'm picking up in Mark Wolynn, and we are in this this culminating chapter, which is talking about the core language of medicine. And I think that I'm still going to review some of these principles next week, because when I talk about how rich this is, it is amazing. I talked to a friend of mine the other day, and she was talking about how impactful this work has been for her when she started considering how her family was. Now, I know people who have a family structure that is like this, where their father has been married 3, maybe 4 times and has various sets of children. One of my neighbors, when I was younger, he had several sets of children. His first wife, he had a set of children, second person, set of children, third person, set of children. Anyway, up to men can easily have 30 children walking around. And they be in clusters because it's based on the relationship they were in at the time. And so when you start to think about the dynamics of that, which means that that father would have his own set of things, his own set of ideas, his parenting, all of the people that are in his line, but also there are all these now wives, ex-wives, jilted lovers, all of these people whose energy or their emotional stuff now becomes a part of your family chart or your family dynamics that can have a play in you and how you see and interact with the world. Whether you know all of the different shoots or not, they are still impactful. They are still impactful. Aunts, uncles, all of that stuff. So when you start to do this work, unpacking this is, I tell you, it is like, it is an amazing kind of awareness just to sit in what could this mean for me in my life, right? How could this be affecting me? Whose ideas and thoughts are these? Now, when I'm talking about that, the next endeavor that I want to write about is I want to write about some of the erroneous information that we have been given throughout the years, even about our role as women. And I think that it is something that bears our attention and setting the record straight. So here we go. Let me delve back into this paragraph. So he says, you might also revisit practices, exercises, and rituals in chapter 10, which we'll go back over, and recite some of the healing sentences that you have found helpful. All right. Return to the exercises in this book that were powerful for you, reminding yourself that each time you do, you're creating a new neural pathway in your brain and new experiences in your body. Oh, can you imagine that? Right? Just so I don't even know what day it was that I talked about this idea of Lilith. I do believe, what was it, Linda Seeley said something about she had to reread that section of the Bible, but there is, I should find a book or some information on that. As the story that I've heard goes, Lilith was created at the same time Adam was, from the dust of the earth, original woman. But Lilith refused to take a secondary role. Why do you have to be on top? Why do you have to do it this way? Why? And her questioning made her like, yeah, to take this woman, right? Take her, because I can't even deal with her. She's supposed to be here to be a helpmate, and she ain't nothing but giving me drama. So the question becomes, I think, for all of us, who do you choose to be? Missionary? Woman on top? Doggy style? Standing up? Picked up? There's so many different ways of engaging and relating. Psychologically, what does that say to you? How does it make you feel? Do you ever try to shift things around? Make a position shift, a power shift in the dynamics of your relationship? And how does that feel? Asking yourself these questions. When I talk about consciousness and awareness, is because there is something in us that needs to just have a shakeup every now and then. What is that? What does that shakeup do? What does that shakeup feel like or look like? Yeah, I have told or mentioned this book. Look, I gotta put it kind of back together. I have spoken about this book and actually talked to Tracy. I sent Tracy a picture of it. And I was telling her about this thing, this book, because one of the things it talks about is the ability for healing to occur through sex. When you reject that, what part of you rejects it? What part of you feels uncomfortable about it? What part of you feels like, I'm gonna pick on you, Winnie. One time you told me it's just exercise. Sending you a pic. Well, this book is really old, and but I will send you. It's a really old book, and yeah, it's a really old book, and this guy has continued to do some work. You might want to look him up on the internet. I'm hearing odd noises. But yes, it is. The work that is in there is just fascinating, and so you know, if you just kind of if you're curious about this, and it's something that Tracy is going to look into, or you know, Tracy said that she found the book, she ordered the book, and so hopefully we can have a conversation around the book and all of that stuff at some point too. But I think that when you are curious about yourself, when you're curious about the relationship dynamics, energy dynamics, even if you are in a committed relationship, especially if you are in one, just trying to shift things up and shift them around is an amazing kind of exercise. And it deepens the experience. It deepens all of that. So, you know, see what's there for you. See what else you can shake a loose. But I just think that we have done things the same way for so long that we never question it. You know, you know, so many people think that this, you know, even sex, they don't. We got to bring something new to it. And this is to all of our experiences. How do we, if we go with the premise, and this is, for some folks, this is a out there premise, but if we go with the premise that God wants you to be happy, wants the highest and best for you, always. And so if you then back up and look at your life, and you say, wow, if God wants me to be happy and I'm not experiencing happy, what is it that I'm doing that may be blocking my own happiness? What is it maybe that I'm not seeing? What is it that I'm could be thinking that is blocking my ability to experience what God has for me? Yeah, to me, that is a powerful question that can shake loose some of the stuff. If not, why not? Where is it? Where is it? Is it the judgments that I have? Is it the things that I've been taught? Is it my own level of inadequacy about something or some area, somebody? What is it? If I'm not experiencing that, why not? And so this is going along with the same idea I shared yesterday about sometimes the thought forms that we entertain or that we have that are go on in our mind. Sometimes it is the thinking that blocks this. And if it's thinking, thoughts can be changed. And so what do we want to, sometimes it's understanding where it comes from, because it seems like it's cellular. When I feel shame and judgment, it feels like it has its place in my body. I can feel it as it moves through my system, but I know it's not mine. And so I could turn around and say, whose is this, right? I can ask my ancestors, whose is this? Now let's make some corrections here, because the corrections need to be made. I'm going to use it like I do in a chalkboard. Let me go up here and erase all of this data that made me think that my role was supposed to be subservient. My role was supposed to be in the background. My role was supposed to be, you know, all of these different things. Let me erase that information and begin to write on that chalkboard of my life, of my being, of my mind, what I desire to be there. And we can only do that when we're willing to look at it, willing to step back and take a look and see what it is Yeah. Oh, and good point, Winnie. Know your own personal definition of happy, because it may not be what somebody else's is. Don't take somebody else's idea of happy. You choose your own, right? That's such a great point. And this is not, trust me, this is not about, the stuff that you have, where you live, your education, all of that stuff. Happy is about being good with you. So don't tell me about, oh, I'll be happy when I lose 20, 30 pounds or 100 pounds. No, 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 no. How do I, given what I have, who I am, where I'm at, how do I get to happy? And I tell you that one of the roads that gets there is to getting to a place of self-acceptance and that self-love. Y'all know I'm reaching for my thing. Starting out with just falling in love with who you are. I love you. First step, right? I was reading this thing where this guy was talking about this praying ceaselessly. And he said that he was given the goal to say a prayer 1,000 times a day. And he says, and the next day, just like the woman gave me that thing to say, I love you. She was like, tell yourself that 20 times. Next day is next time is 100 times. The next time, can you say it 1,000, right? He said that he was speaking this prayer and his goal was 1,000 times and then 20,000 times. And then it was like, yeah, it was like, okay, how do I say this over and over again to the point where, and he said that the first couple of days, it was really hard to kind of like bring his mind back to that prayer. But he says then he got to the point where he didn't want to be any place else but in that prayer. That even when he wasn't speaking the prayer was in his mind. It was the ticker tape that was at the back of his mind. And he was like, and it was such an amazing joy to be in that space of always in that prayer. So if once for me, once I started to love me and I had judgments about me, right? I had all of this stuff about me and yet I loved me. I found out I was lovable just as I was, which means that I could look at anybody else. The man talking about people with bra straps, the people with bra straps, the people with whose weight that they don't like, the people who got crooked teeth, straight teeth, messed up hair, body deformed, all kind of stuff. I could look at any and everybody else. And because I know that I'm flawed and I'm worthy of love, they can be flawed as all get out and still be worthy of love. Because love is not about, this, what we think it is, like, oh, this is a gift I'm going to bestow upon you. Oh, when people find it so hard to tell people that they love them, because it's almost like, oh, I gotta admit that, I love you, and it's a form of weakness or whatever. But wonder if the reality of it is that love is the truth. Because remember, they said God is love. Love is the truth. It is the only reality. Love. And anytime we're thinking with unloving thoughts, we're not really thinking at all. It's just BS. So sisters love, they love one another. I just think that we've gotta do some rethinking. Love from the inside out. Yes, yes, yes. Sit in it daily. Yes, y'all. So this has been good. I guess I like this lipstick. I've had it forever, but I very rarely wear it because it's such a dark color, but I think I'm feeling it today. Anyway, so remember tomorrow I will be on here very short, I think from 7:30 to 8 because I've got to be downtown by 9. So I'll be short and brief on here tomorrow. I will not be with Dr. Brown tomorrow. We will record on Saturday morning. So I will be with so I'll see y'all briefly tomorrow, then be back on my normal schedule on Friday. And then on Saturday, I'll be on from 8 until probably about 9:30 because I'll roll from doing this into talking to Dr. Brown at 9. All right. So I love y'all. And you know what? Because I am love. And I know wherever you are, whatever you're going through, that you are absolutely worthy of love. The love that is me just stretches out and yes, and unites with the love that is you. So beyond all of your judgments, all of your thoughts, all of your stuff that you may have going on, I love you. All right. All right. Thank you, Sandra. I will see you all, God willing, tomorrow. And yeah, but a little earlier. You still watch if you come in after the time, watch it or like it or whatever. I just won't be able to respond. So yep. Have an amazing day. A wonderful Wednesday. It's hump day. Wonder where Ruth is today. All right. All right, bless y'all, and I'm out of here. Oh, and we're sending out prayers and blessings. Erica has been MIA. She's caregiving her mom, and so I'm sending out love and prayers and blessings to her and to all of you, right? All of y'all. Just shower down blessings. All right, see ya. Thanks.